You can't tell that difference. I can't tell that difference. This is the fake one. Did I get it right? No, I was wrong. See? I was wrong. Just what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today's gonna be a little bit of a different video. It's gonna be a double response video. We are going to be responding to my own video about normalizing proxies. We're also gonna be responding to my own video about the $20,000 collection that I purchased this past week. Lots of different conversations about proxies. We're gonna go through and take a look at a bunch of fake cards and fake proxies and show you how good these things are getting on the market. So hope you enjoy the video. All right, and so first and foremost, let me just say that my first video on proxies about a year ago is by far the most disliked video on my channel, and the comment section is by far the most against me of pretty much any video that I've ever made. And that's been it's been interesting. Actually, because of a lot of that, some of my views about proxies have actually changed. And it's not that I am changing because of comments, but seeing people's perspective on proxies really showed me a different side of the world. Now, I will say I'm still very much against fake cards and proxies. I don't like them. We're gonna get into some of those reasons in the video, but one of the things I have to say is as a store, I have a much different perspective than somebody else because I have to handle these cards. I have to buy these cards. I have to sell these cards. The risk for buying fake cards and proxies is significantly greater on somebody who's absorbing tons of cards all the time. That being said, we have changed our kind of policy about proxies. We actually do some CEDH, competitive commander events, now that do allow a 15 card proxy limit. And that allows, because I do respect the idea, these are not officially sanctioned events, by the way. If they were officially sanctioned events, I would actually lose my WPN status. That's how serious Wizards takes proxies. But these CEDH events, they're ran on a different thing. They don't use any of the Wizard stuff. And we allow 15 proxies to make it more accessible for players. And I do think that that is really important if you are going to be running events and doing that kind of thing. It is a sacrifice that I am willing to make in terms of the integrity of the card pool and that kind of thing, as long as it allows more and more people to get involved in the game. And now, whether you're at the full proxy or 15 card or 20 card, whatever, I think you gotta find what is right for your store, your community. But having some sort of proxy limit allows people to get the vast majority of the high-end cards, but still requires people to collect and kind of keeps the playing field from just printing out a deck. And that's what that video originally was. There was a service that back then, I think Wizards has cracked down on it pretty significantly, where you could literally just upload a deck list. For $70, it would print you really good proxies or fake cards of that deck. And that is much different in my mind than, yeah, I can't afford these 15 cards, so I'm gonna proxy them. I'm still gonna collect, I'm still gonna play the game, I'm still gonna do the thing, but these 15 cards I can't get to. So there's a lot of different things. So the biggest thing that I learned from the responses to that video was how much different you all as an audience view proxies from fake cards. And that is different than how I view the word proxy. In my mind, they're the same thing. Proxies and fake cards are the same thing. But the audience, very much different, very much thought differently. And so I have moved on to proxies are fine. If you want to test a deck and make proxies, I think that's great. I think that's fine. But the fake cards is what we're moving into. And this is where I think it's a really slippery slope. Once you start going down the proxy road, it's really easy to get into fake cards. And this previous collection that we purchased, a $20,000 collection this past week, had a lot of proxies, a lot of fake cards, a lot of cards that were proxies as if they had a different back and different things, but then a lot of cards that didn't have that. And actually the seller reached out to me before selling. He was like, hey man, there's a ton of cards that are fake. They actually look really, really good. You're going to have to check every card. He was very upfront about it. He tried to pull all the cards that were fake, put them in a pile. He got most of them, but we checked every single card. And I want to share with you what that changes, because from his perspective, he regretted going into the fake card, that kind of world, because he couldn't even tell the cards. It took so much time for him to figure out what cards are fake and what cards are real before even sending it to me. And then on my side, it took me so much more time to separate out the fake cards and the real cards. So just another consideration that before you go into this world of fake Magic cards or high-end proxies that are very, very indistinguishable, you do want to consider that, because somebody like me, if I'm going through a collection and I'm pretty good at finding these fake cards, if I find one, it's going to change the way that I look at your entire collection, and that could affect the way that you and I interact as a business owner and as a customer, because now I have to be on edge that every single card of your collection has the potential to be fake, and that kind of changes the dynamic a lot. So let's go into looking at some of these cards and show you just how good these fake Magic cards are becoming. All right, so this is one of the proxy binders that he had, and you can tell a lot of the times when you get cards like this, like an old Onslaught fetch land that is just that minty, it kind of puts out a red flag these days, because most of the fetch lands that we buy would not be original. They would end up being, from Modern Horizons 2 and all the reprint sets that have come out. Same thing with Shocklands. So these were pretty easy to understand that they were fake. He also had already identified these. And frankly, some of these, not super, you can see the gloss on them. These were not super great. These are, the gloss is just wrong. Here's a real Magic card to compare for the gloss. That's actually not a real one. Here's a real Magic card to compare for the gloss. You can see how much more glossy these are. These are really, really easy cards to tell that they are fake, but you can see they're still not labeled as proxies. So if a staff member didn't actually know what they were doing, and my staff is incredibly good, they all know what they're doing, and this was in a sleeve, and in a plaid sleeve, kind of like this Force of Will that we'll look at in a second. This might be hard for an average person to tell if it's fake or real, but the gloss is kind of a dead giveaway. And this was not a very good set of proxies. We'll talk about old proxies, old fake cards versus new fake cards. This one's a little bit better. You can see the gloss is much, much better, much more close to a real card. Here's the real card here. The gloss, much better. The color's a little off, but with Magic printing, that's pretty standard. The printing is almost always off. We'll go through another way to tell. One of the ways I can tell is just by feeling the card. You can just kind of feel the card. These also have the dot down here. It's the hollow foil. It's real. It works well. It's like the right thing. I don't know. This is a pretty good fake. Now, one of the ways you can tell on this one, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's almost like you can see it right here. There's almost like a grid, a real faint grid, like, it looks textured. It looks, I don't know how to explain it. Looks like a cloth almost. If you look really closely, it's kind of hard to tell on camera. But again, you would have no clue that this was a fake card if it was in a sleeve. So one of the things we always do is unsleeve every single card before we scan it in, before we look at it, because holding the card raw really allows you to understand the difference between fake cards. Then you have your older cards. Again, a Sarah's Sanctum is going to be a card we would check anyway. We would do a green dot check. We'll talk about the green dots in a second. We would check this anyway, but it's also just too clean. There you can see really well the kind of the grid on the card, which you can tell. But again, this is a fake card. This is not a proxy. And I think proxies are probably okay if the back of the card or somewhere on the front of the card is clearly marked as a proxy, because otherwise you're just trying to fake people or scam people. And maybe you don't have the intention to sell your card today, and so you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm never going to sell my cards. But what happens if you go to sell your cards in 10 years and you can't remember if a card was a proxy or not a proxy? And that's my argument towards being aware. So here's an ancient tomb. You would have no clue if this was real or fake if you're looking in the sleeve here. But as soon as you pull it out of the sleeve, you can just feel it. The gloss is a little off, that kind of thing. Now, all right, let's get into how to verify that a card is fake or not. Let's go ahead and pull the other cards. Maybe we'll pull out that binder another time. But I've gone ahead and pre-pulled a significant amount of cards and real cards to compare them to. But I wanted to show you just how good some of these fakes are before we get in. Here's this Force of Will, right? In a sleeve, you really wouldn't be able to tell. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, this is foil. So one of the things is the foiling is just off a little bit. But again, Magic changes their foils so often that it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. The back of this one, again, you can just kind of tell there's like a really faint linen texture type thing to it. But again, really, really good fake card. Before we get into it, let's show you what we do to verify if a card is real or not. This is the green dot test, and I've kind of made it easier for you guys to understand because using a jeweler's loop on a camera is very difficult. So this green dot right here, Magic has actually put in a way to evaluate if a card is real or not. The way that they print their cards, it's like layered printing, and the fake companies, the companies that make these fakes, can't really do that. It's just not obtainable for them. At least they didn't used to be able to do it. So on a real Magic card, if you put this jeweler's loop over this green dot, you're going to see something that looks like this. This is my beautiful art, everybody. Leave a comment if you like my beautiful art. So this dot is green, and up here you have like a darker green, okay? And then down here you have a white spot. And in the white spot, you'll have 4 red dots that make an L. And on a real card, you can distinguish those 4 real, those 4 dots that make an L. The old fake cards used to look like this. They would have the green dot, they would have the darker spot, they would have the white spot, but all this would be red dots. There would be a bunch of red dots. And it was really easy to tell if a card was fake or not, just looking like this. But here's the new kind of era of counterfeit fake cards. There is just no dot. There's no, it looks exactly like this and almost impossible to tell the difference, but it just doesn't have the 4 dots. Now this is important because sometimes Wizards doesn't really get it right. And sometimes I feel like the dots aren't there even on cards if I've tested them like right out of the pack. But this Force of Will, pretty good, but you can tell it is, the foiling is just kind of off. Here's one that is absolutely baffling to me. This is an absolutely baffling card in my mind. This looks so real. It looks so good. And the dot test on the back is, it's this new one where you can't see anything. It's not real. I can tell it's not real because there's not the dots, but you can't see anything. Now, if you get into this position, the gloss looks pretty good. It feels like a pretty good card. Here's the other thing that you can do. I'm going to turn off the light. I'm going to show you the other way to verify if this is a real card or not. Ooh, look, it's dark. Oh, where's my phone? Uh-oh, it's over here. All right, so on these cards, you can do a test. You can see how dark this is. You see the inside. So there's layers to these cards, and the inside layer you can tell here is black. It's a black core, okay? If you have a black core, it's a fake card. Let's grab the real Jeweled Lotus here. That's what we've been using, by the way. You can see here, the inside of this is blue. Magic has a blue core on all of its cards. This is the best way if the green dot doesn't work. The green dot, in my opinion, is the best way. But this is another way to tell if a card is real or fake. You can see how much more blue this is. Let me show you the dock side again. See how dark that is and how black it is. And we'll show you this on the other Jeweled Lotus. Actually, let's do that right now. We'll show you this on the other Jeweled Lotus, that this is a fake Jeweled Lotus. And you can see how dark it is? It's black. Let me do it this way for you. See how dark it is? It's a white or a black core, right? Now let's go back to the blue. See how blue it is? It's a blue core. Okay, so that is a really, really important way to distinguish if a card is real or fake. And some of these are getting really, really, really good. So you have to be aware, if you're getting high-end cards, you cannot allow yourself to pick up cards that, oh yeah, it looks fine, and it's in a sleeve. Oh, I'm too lazy to unsleeve. Don't be lazy. Don't be freaking lazy. You gotta look at the cards. You got to look at the cards. Here's some other decent fakes just to show you. They're not just, non-hollow cards these days. This is an unhinged island. You can tell this one's fake just because the foiling's kind of wrong. Same with the Windswept Heath. If you have touched and played with and held many Windswept Heaths, then you can tell that this is fake. But if this was the first, expedition that you had ever held, man, you would get fooled. You would get fooled if this was the first one. And so again, when you have cards like this, you have to feel them, you have to look at them, you have to, do the test. It's very important. Here's a Bayou. So now with dual lands, obviously, if you get a very minty dual land, you're definitely going to always want to check it no matter what. But here we have 2 dual lands. Look at how good those are. I mean, like, the coloring is very similar. I mean, this is the real one. This is the fake one. The coloring's pretty much on spot. Unless you had one next to you, it would be hard. But see how nice and minty this back is? You have to green dot test this. You have to. You don't have an option if you're going to buy this card. Now let's do another light. I guess we don't need to do another light. Let's do another light test for you. Why not? Right? Why not? So you have to do the work to figure out, is this a real card? That's the fake. That's the real. Did I get that right? Yeah. This is the fake. See how dark it is? This is the real. See how white it is? Or how blue it is? My phone, you can kind of see through all the way. So that is very, very important. Lights on. Okay. Let's go through. I already showed you some of the good. I mean, it's not even like high end. I mean, these are decently high end cards, but these are all fake. All these are fake. And this is where it's like, you can't even just have a valuation of like checking over. You have to kind of like know what you're looking at and feel it all out. So let's compare the jeweled lotuses. So this is a real lotus. This is a fake one. Now these are from different sets. I didn't have an original Commander Legends one, but you can tell the cards look so similar. I mean, from the front, look at that. You can't tell that difference. I can't tell that difference. You've got to do the tests. You have to. Look at this. You don't even remember which one's fake, do you? This is the fake one. Did I get it right? Commander Masters? No, I was wrong. See? I was wrong. Just by looking at it, I was wrong. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, I was right. This is the real one. This is the real one. I remember what I said. Anyway, it's crazy. You got to do the green dot test. You got to do the light test. You got to do all the things. I'll have to check that one again later. This is a fake one. This is just another foil. Meat Hook Massacre. This is real. This is fake. They look exactly the same. The back, the fake one looks a little different. And then if you tested it, you would see it. But you can see these are not just like, people aren't just faking duels anymore. This is fake. This is real. People aren't just faking duels anymore. People are faking everything. It's got the wizards thing, right? Like there's really no difference down there. It's got the wizards thing. It's got, the green dot is not going to pop up. It's going to be like this. You got to know that things are different these days. It's not like it used to be where fakes are bad. These are really good. Dockside. Again, these 2 are real. These 2 are fake. If you had a play set that came in a trade like this, whew, oh man, you got to know what you're looking for, and you got to make sure you're looking for it. So those are the conversations. This is why you have to know your stuff, and this is why the idea that fake cards are just okay doesn't sit well with me personally. And like, I get it. I want the game to be accessible for people. I don't want people to not be able to play. But also there's a lot of money and business and connection in this industry that matters so that Magic can keep printing games, so that players still have a place to play. And if stores get burned on cards like these consistently and effectively, and if they don't know what they're doing, and people are dishonest and they trade in or they sell cards that are fake, that causes the whole system to kind of crumble. So as I respond to my Stop Normalizing Proxies video, I do think we need to stop normalizing fake cards. It should not be, I don't think if you are playing Magic and you care about the environment of Magic the Gathering, that you should be confident that buying this card and putting it in your deck is the right thing to do. I think you should get a card that has a different back. And that's how I would go through that. That way, that when you go to sell your collection or when you go to make some money off of it, you know the cards that are real and you know the cards that are fake, and it's so much less work. That is the heart of that video, of the stop normalizing proxies. And from a store perspective, I wanted to show you just how good. I know a lot of people are not going to like that I showed some of these proxies, but man, you got to know what you're doing, man. You got to be paying attention. So have a great day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.